Hello, and we are so glad to welcome you to First United Methodist Church of Bristol. We hope that you will worship with us when we open again. Things are looking much more positive. We will keep you posted, let you know what's going on as far as when we will be back in church. Please remember to wear those masks and to socially distance. We want to stay well so that when we can be together, we'll be able to be together. Now, join us for our service.
Then God spoke all of these words. I am the Lord your God who brought you out of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. You must have no other gods before me. Do not make an idol for yourself. No form whatsoever of anything in the sky above or on earth below or in the waters under the earth. Do not bow down to them or worship them, because I, the Lord your God, am a passionate God. I punish children for their parents' sins, even to the third and fourth generations of those who hated me. But I'm loyal and gracious to the thousandth generation of those who love me and keep my commandments. Do not use the Lord your God's name as if it were of no significance. The Lord won't forgive anyone who uses his name that way. Remember the Sabbath day and treat it as holy. 6 days you may work and do all of your tasks, but the seventh day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God. Do not do any work on it. Not you, not your sons or daughters, your male or female servants, your animals, or the immigrant who is living with you. Because the Lord made the heavens and the earth, the sea and everything in them in 6 days, but rested on the seventh day. That is why the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and made it holy. Honor your father and your mother, so that your life will be long on the fertile land that the Lord your God is giving you. Do not kill. Do not commit adultery. Do not testify falsely against your neighbor. Do not desire and try to take your neighbor's wife, male or female servant, ox, donkey, or anything else that belongs to your neighbor.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome. Please join me this morning in singing our first hymn, selection 295, In the Cross of Christ I Glory. In the cross of Christ I glory, towering o'er the wrecks of time. All the light of sacred story gathers round its head sublime. When the woes of life o'ertake me, hopes deceive and fears annoy, never shall the cross forsake me. Lo, it glows with peace and joy. When the sun of bliss is beaming, light and love upon my way, from the cross the radiance streaming adds more luster to the day. Bane and blessing, pain, and pleasure, by the cross are sanctified. Peace is there that knows no measure, joys that through all time abide. In the cross of Christ I glory, towering o'er the wrecks of time. All the light of sacred story gathers round its head sublime.
Lent is a journey to the cross. It is a time to travel to Jerusalem with Jesus. We know what's coming. We've lived this pilgrimage for 2,000 years. We know how important it is to let the Spirit strip away our protections and privileges, one layer at a time, until we arrive at the cross, crucified with Christ, having forsaken lost everything we hold dear.
But this year, God? Really? Haven't we been through enough already?
But the Spirit invites us again. Yes, this year too.
So today, we journey with Jesus. We remember that the journey is a guided one. The path is there to give us safety, to keep us on track, to ensure our footing. Straying off of it can lead us to poison ivy or stingweed, or down a precipitous drop, or into groves too delicate for human footfall. The standards and trailblazers are there for our protection and the protection of everyone and everything around us. The path is safe as long as we follow in Jesus' footsteps.
The way is darkening, friends, but God's promise is true. Let us be pilgrims again with Jesus. Make our way to the cross.
Friends, I want to invite us to join together in a time of prayer this morning. And as I have been doing, I will open us up with the collect of the day and invite us into a time of quietness. And I encourage you to spend that time in the way that you need to. And if you need to spend that time in sharing with the folks around you your concerns and your joys, or sharing those on our streaming feed as we worship together, or if you simply need to enter into the quietness and spend some time listening and being still, I invite you to do that. And as our quietness comes to an end, I will invite us to join together in saying the Lord's Prayer. Friends, let us pray. Almighty God, you know that we have no power in ourselves to help ourselves. Keep us both outwardly in our bodies and inwardly in our souls, that we may be defended from all adversities which may happen to the body, and from all evil thoughts which may assault and hurt the soul. Through Jesus Christ our Lord, who lives and reigns with you and the Holy Spirit, one God, forever and ever. Amen. And now, friends, with the confidence of children of God, we are bold to pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever and ever. Amen. Good morning, friends. I want to invite you to join me in a reading from the Gospel according to John this morning. I'll be sharing from the second chapter of John's Gospel, the 13th through the 22nd verses. And the translation I'll be sharing from, as I often do, is the Common English Bible. If you have a translation that's a little different from mine, that is all right. Somewhere between the words on your page and the words on mine, there is a word that God will speak to us together. And in reverence for the Gospel reading, friends, I want to invite you, wherever you are, to stand as you are able. A reading from John. It was nearly time for the Jewish Passover, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem. He found in the temple those who were selling cattle, sheep, and doves, as well as those involved in exchanging currency, sitting there. He made a whip from ropes and chased them all out of the temple, including the cattle and the sheep. He scattered the coins and overturned the tables of those who exchanged currency. He said to the dove sellers, "Get these things out of here. Don't make my Father's house a place of business." His disciples remembered that it is written, "Passion for your house consumes me." Then the Jewish leaders asked him, "By what authority are you doing these things? What miraculous sign will you show us?" Jesus answered, "Destroy this temple, and in 3 days I'll raise it up." The Jewish leaders replied, "It took 46 years to build this temple, and you will raise it up in 3 days?" But the temple Jesus was talking about was his body. After he was raised from the dead, his disciples remembered what he had said, and they believed the scripture and the word that Jesus had spoken. Friends, hear what the Spirit is saying to God's people. I invite you to be seated. Let the words of my mouth and meditations of my heart be pleasing to you, Lord, my rock and my redeemer. I like to think that I bring us back to the basics of faithful living when I'm preaching, just in general, but I realize that sometimes I might get a little heady or a little involved, and sometimes things are just a lot more nuanced and contextualized than we want to believe. But during Lent this year, I'm hoping we can strip away some of the ostentatious ridicularity that bogs us down and get back to some of the basics of faith. On the first Sunday of Lent, we talked about covenant, about divine promise. On the second Sunday of Lent, we talked about naming, specifically about the name that God has for us. This week, we have the 10 Commandments coming up in our Old Testament reading, paired up with Jesus' wild moment in the temple. This seems to me a good time to talk about standards. And for reference, over the next 2 weeks, we'll be addressing sacrament and purging. And don't let those scare or trigger you. I'm not interested in digging deeply into nitpicking theological arguments over baptism and Holy Communions. I'd much rather engage in a more fundamental understanding of how God meets us in special moments. And I'm not talking about purging in a dietary way. Think of it more as the opposite of hoarding. That's not this week, though. One thing at a time. I just want to offer you a sense of direction. And I hope it doesn't decide to tune you out. That would make me sad. So, standards. Now, clearly, Jesus has standards. Something's got him riled up this week. He is on fire. He is so deeply infuriated about what's going on in the temple that he finds these strands of rope and starts swinging them around at people like a whip. And by the way, have you ever tried to use a whip? It's not as easy as it looks. Without some practice, you can and probably will hurt yourself pretty badly. Let's just assume Jesus isn't hurting himself. I don't know how he might have acquired training with a whip since he was raised by an elderly carpenter and an orphaned mother, but sometimes we pick up skills on the side. I'm getting hung up on this. Jesus is in the temple, chasing out the folks, selling animals, and changing currencies. Why? Because over the history of Passover celebrations, the laws surrounding what animals could or could not be used for sacrifices got so specific that the only critters you could offer were the ones specifically brought up by the standards set by the temple. You can't bring your own animal. It's not good enough for the Passover feast. Only the temple critters are guaranteed without blemish. And that means they can charge whatever exorbitant price they want for them. Extortion. And I'm sure that I don't need to go into how quickly extortion happens with the changing of currencies for all those foreign pilgrims who are just here for the holy day. To all that extortion, to all the taking advantage of vulnerable people, just trying to do their religious right, their duty, Jesus says, no. No way. Not only no, you don't do people that way. Yeah, sure, the temple is pretty and it's sacrosanct and whatever, but Jesus is in a long line of prophetic voices who call Jerusalem and her elite out for not on failing to mop up the Holy of Holies, but on failing to execute justice and righteousness in Jacob. Where are our priorities? What are our standards? Is it the Decalogue? That list of 10 commands that God wrote on tablets of stone on Sinai, which Moses shattered and compelled God to redo, if that's what God wrote on the tablets in the first place? Is it the whole of the law scattered throughout the Torah? Is it something extra biblical? For a lot of us, the U.S. Constitution is more sacrosanct than the Bible. Maybe that's our set of standards, or maybe it's just selections from the Constitution that tie into our personal worldview. Or maybe we can't even tell the difference between the Constitution and the Bible. Or maybe we should just grow up. Do y'all remember when some Pharisees came and trying to test Jesus, they asked, "Does the law allow a man to divorce his wife?" Jesus answered, "What did Moses command you?" They said, "Moses allowed a man to write a divorce certificate and to divorce his wife." Jesus said to them, "He wrote this commandment for you because of your unyielding hearts." Do you know why we have laws? We have laws because we can't grow up and learn to treat each other with respect and love. We need laws when we are immature, when we are learning to be grown-ups. And the church absolutely ought to be the kind of place where we educate our young persons or our young persons in faith how to be mature followers of Jesus. And teaching our children how to be responsible adults is exactly why we have our girls in Girl Scouts too. It is a life-changing organization that builds responsible citizens and respectful adults. And at some point, hopefully sooner than later, we should grow up enough that we don't need that guidance so much anymore, and we can live in harmony with our neighbors without published guidance delineating every single action we could take. At some point, we have got to grow up enough to realize that the standards we're called to follow are summed up in two rules. Love God, love your neighbor as yourself. That's it. Those are our standards. The violation of those standards is what got Jesus so riled up in the temple that day. The violation of those standards is why our world is the catastrophe it is right now. Love God, love your neighbor as yourself. It is that doggone simple. If you're making it more complicated than that for yourself or for anybody else, you're doing this wrong. Love God. Love your neighbor as yourself. Those are our standards. That is our rule. Go do it. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Please join me in singing our closing hymn. It's Lord, I Want to Be a Christian, hymn selection 402. Lord, I want to be a Christian in my heart, in my heart. Lord, I want to be a Christian in my heart, in my heart, in my heart. Lord, I want to be a Christian in my heart. Lord, I want to be more loving in my heart, in my heart. Lord, I want to be more loving in my heart, in my heart, in my heart. Lord, I want to be more loving in my heart. Lord, I want to be more holy in my heart, in my heart. Lord, I want to be more holy in my heart, in my heart, in my heart. Lord, I want to be more holy in my heart. Lord, I want to be like Jesus in my heart, in my heart. Lord, I want to be like Jesus in my heart, in my heart, in my heart. Lord, I want to be like Jesus in my heart.
Friends, go from here to love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and with all your strength, and to love your neighbor as you love yourself. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.